Welcome to The Last 50 Feet, the podcast about what happens when autonomous vehicles actually arrive at the curb. Every week, we get into what is moving in autonomous commerce, what's stalling, and who's building what next. No fluff, all signal, and we keep it brief. That's our thing. Let's get into it.
Welcome today to really what is going to be a little bit of a backstory around Autolane, autonomous commerce, what we're doing, what we'd like to do, and what's currently being done.
Sounds good to me.
I am the head of growth here at Autolane, and I'm seated with Ben Seidl, who is our CEO and co-founder. Just to give, again, a brief history. I think where I'd like to start with you today is I'd like you to take me back. What was going on when you founded Autolane?
This isn't the Lex Friedman podcast, by the way. You can just ask me.
You telling me to lighten up?
You can just ask me the question. I do work 4 feet from you every day, so
Cam's a little nervous. This is a good start. I like it.
We can just have the discussion.
All right, restart.
No, Cam, no. I think this is
we're not. No, this is live.
This is it.
Unfortunately for you, and probably for me as well as this goes on.
What would Lex Friedman do right now?
He would go on for 3 hours until it, basically
WWLFD. Take us back. August 2024. Where'd you come from? What was going on? Open it up. The kimono's open.
I do like a kimono.
Business casual kimono.
So the idea for Autolane essentially came from using Tesla's full self-driving software for the first time in my life in August of 2024. And I had heard of it, had never seen a Waymo, never been in a Waymo. I think Waymo was just starting to have public rides in San Francisco that summer. But I tried Tesla's full self-driving and was blown away by how good that software was. And based on my background for the last 8 years of working in real estate, retail, and AI, I had this sinking intuition just after 5 minutes of using the autonomy features in Tesla that this technology was going to change the way real estate operated, the way that retail, last mile delivery could work, and that this technology was here to stay and would only get better. So thought through really what the second and third order effects would be of this general purpose technology. And here we are today.
Crazy. So one thing we talk a lot about here is autonomous commerce. And I know that was kind of the second or third order effect, if you will, that you put together after kind of forming your initial thesis. What is autonomous commerce in your eyes?
Yeah, so I think that we're early enough in this technology evolution, that being physical AI, robotics, self-driving cars, where I think that the terminology is probably still up for grabs. But there's a term that is going around that's has significant traction these days while it's still early, which is agentic commerce, and that's really LLMs, the AI tools that we're all used to these days being applied to commerce for shopping, browsing, checking out, really software-based AI applied to retail. And I don't think that really captures what it is we're working on here at Autolane and what others in the space are doing when it comes to the physical retail world and delivery. So, we like to use the term autonomous commerce, and what that refers to is commerce in the future that will be done fully autonomously. And the autonomy is, in my opinion, really based in real world robotics, self-driving cars. So that is a different and I think really interesting facet of where AI is going to touch retail going forward. It's not just on that consumer shopping experience, but it's actually on the fulfillment, delivery, operational side of retail. And I think autonomous commerce is going to be a category. It's going to be a category similar to e-commerce. And I generally believe this is kind of the beginning of maybe a 30, 40-year run of autonomous commerce, updating the retail world on these new modalities. So when you get something delivered to you by a self-driving car or a drone, which is also an autonomous system, or a sidewalk bot, if you're in LA or Miami or other cities, that's another example of what I would call an autonomous commerce transaction. Anytime you're ordering something and it's being basically delivered to you autonomously, that would qualify. So I think if you were to look forward 5 years from now, autonomous commerce today will begin to take more and more market share, and to the point that at some, whether it's 3 to 5 years out or maybe closer to 5 to 10, we will start to see that the majority of commerce is being done this way. For mostly, it'll start with the leading retailers like a Walmart, a Target, McDonald's, the major brands that have significant portfolios of stores and really sophisticated operations and technology. Those will be the brands you'll most likely see adopt autonomous commerce first, and then you'll see it trickle through those different verticals. But eventually, we're heading into a world, I believe, and I think we at Autolane believe, that will be largely based in autonomous commerce in the future.
So we understand the beginning. We understand autonomous commerce. Kind of go back a little bit into the specifics. We use a phrase here, the 3 C's: communication, coordination, and control. In practice, kind of walk me through the few items or the most important items for autonomous commerce to actually be executed at the curb, a parking stall, at a business as it currently exists in the physical world.
Yeah, I think at the core of what we're building at Autolane, it is an orchestration platform for all of those modalities to function really efficiently and precisely, meaning drones, sidewalk bots, cars, autonomous trucks. If it's an autonomous system that's engaging in retail in any way, that autonomous system will need to be, as you pointed out, coordinated, communicated with, and controlled to some degree. So those 3 C's that we like to refer to as the really important aspects of building an autonomous commerce system. If you don't have those, or if you only have one of 3, you aren't going to be able to execute autonomous commerce at scale. Now, why is that the case? If you look at where we are today with autonomous commerce, you've got, let's take in the drone delivery world, you've got Walmart expanding their drone delivery capabilities. These are usually pilots that are being done in smaller towns where it's a little bit easier to pull off this type of drone delivery operation. And Walmart needs to work with that specific drone company, whether it's Wing, whether it's Zipline, whether it's something else. That needs to be a company to company direct integration and partnership for what is usually a small operation. And so if you kind of take that as an example and you say, well, this is a small operation today, but if drone delivery continues to scale at the pace that it is today, you could be looking at cities or towns where thousands of these drones are doing deliveries, or hundreds. And then that's just, again, of course, one type of autonomous system. You've also got sidewalk bots all over LA. Those are being operated by Serve Robotics, Coco Robotics. I know Starship does their thing on the campuses nationwide. So right there, you have 3 different sidewalk bot companies, and they're scaling as well. And so if you start to kind of play this forward a few more years, and you assume that one of these modalities will scale, if not maybe all of them, the one that we're most focused on is self-driving cars. We think that Tesla's and all the technology that's going into self-driving cars today will be widely disseminated across all OEMs. So you'll have a self-driving Nissan and a self-driving Honda and a self-driving Ford eventually. And this will be like the new cruise control for cars. And if that prediction becomes true over the next 3 to 5 years, then you're looking at a world in which self-driving cars also become another modality of autonomous system that needs to be communicated with, coordinated, and controlled to some degree. And so what we're working on is really the baseline or the foundational layer that's going to be required to sustain the scale up of these operations. You can do these operations on a small pilot, a couple sidewalk bots, a couple drones here or there. You can do that just with these direct connections company to company, like in Walmart and Wing's case. But when you start to envision a world in which Walmart is working with a drone company, a sidewalk bot company, 3 different self-driving car companies, an autonomous trucking company, and all of those autonomous systems are coming to one Walmart supercenter, all of those activities, all of those transactions, arrivals, departures, order fulfillment, all of that information, all of that activity needs to be centralized at some point. You can't have direct connections into every one of these companies. And that's what, at the very core, that's what Autolane is building, is something akin to an air traffic control system for autonomous systems. So it's really exciting to build that. And you only kind of get to the 3 C's, as you noted, if you start to imagine a world in which these modalities scale. Because at that point, you have complete chaos at the curb at a Walmart store. If you have 5 different self-driving car companies coming to that same curb, those 5 self-driving car companies are not talking to each other. Walmart needs to be talking to each one of them. They need to be telegraphing their arrivals, their departures, the order numbers. You need stalls that are dedicated to this type of activity. Then you got drones coming in. So you got this like potentially very thriving level of activity at a given store. It doesn't need to be a Walmart, but any given store with significant volume is going to be facing this challenge. And that's the problem that we're solving today, and that we think will be a really critical problem to solve for major retailers across the United States and then the world.
Yum. So with everything that the company's learned and that really you've learned so far, can you just give us an update on where the business is today? We have a couple exciting things at the finish line we can't yet announce, but give us just an update on where we are. Have we progressed as though you'd hoped? And then maybe just a little update on where you hope things go in the future.
Yeah, we've made a ton of progress in the last 12 months in particular. I think back on this time last year, and we were still trying to figure out the correct products to build, the positioning of the company. Again, we're pretty early in a lot of this stuff. We're, as far as I know, the only company that's banging the drum about this kind of oncoming autonomous commerce category. And by being a category creator, like I think we are, and thus kind of a category leader as well, the narrative that we put out there, the things that we focus on end up being really important, because we're on the frontier. We're building things that we anticipate having an essential role in retail and delivery over the coming years, but we're creating that today. We're probably surfing a wave that hasn't yet crested. And so the exciting thing about that is we get to use our imagination. We get to have a lot of conversations with retailers and autonomous systems and self-driving car companies, and try and piece together what we think may evolve here, and make our best educated guesses at what products to build to support that. So that's, where we were, I would say 12 months ago, was in that kind of fog of knowing that the work that we're doing is going to be very important, but having to guess, well, when will that scale start to take place? Which retailers, which self-driving car companies are going to be leading the pack? Who would want to work with us? And then start to build those relationships. And so we started doing that in earnest last summer. We had our first major initial property customer is Simon Property Group, which is the world's largest retail REIT, $72 billion, or was 72. I think they're even more than that now. Publicly traded company, and they, like we, understand that, and they can see it themselves every day at their properties. their properties are transforming because of autonomous systems and self-driving cars. They see that every day. They don't know what to do about it. They didn't know what to do about it. And we met them kind of early in their exploration stage and became fast friends. So that was a deal we struck back in July of last year that really helped us get a real world platform with which to build some of these products and ideas that actually impact real properties, that impact real autonomous rideshare users, real self-driving companies. So we have that technology deployed at Stanford Shopping Center in Palo Alto, the Domain in Barton Creek in Austin, and then most recently we've mutually agreed to expand to a much larger aspect of their portfolio. So we'll be going into Miami, Phoenix, Los Angeles, and Atlanta on top of our existing cities in Austin and San Francisco. So, Simon has been essential for us to kind of first have that kind of real world platform and environment where we can figure out what to build, how to refine it, and then how to scale that essentially. And so that was a springboard that got us into a handful of other top retail REITs like Jamestown Properties, like Federal Realty. We've just launched in Santana Row with them there in San Jose. So that vertical for us has been really helpful over the last 12 months for us to get a footing into the built environment. And then where we go from here, as you mentioned, we're not able to talk about it yet today, but definitely very soon, where we will be working with some major retail brands and QSR brands on putting this technology into play for retail operations and delivery. So it's an exciting time, and I think we've made a ton of progress in just 12 months. The next 12 months should start to get really exciting because we're getting more into the actual autonomous delivery aspect of Autolane, which is why we started the business in the first place. It took us a good 18 months to figure out that landscape and decide on what to build. But now we've gotten to where we have today. It's certainly kind of the starting line for us to start showing how this is going to impact retail and delivery. So really excited about how much progress has been made in 12 months, and absolutely excited to see what's going to happen in the next 12 months, because again, being on the frontier, you really don't know. We're not able to peg this to anything else. There's not a growth curve or an industry participant that we can point to say, oh, we're kind of like them, but smaller, or we're competing with this company and we're, both growing this way. We're out there literally on the frontier, kind of inventing a lot of this stuff. And so it's fun to come to work every day and know that, it's what we decide to build, what we decide to bring to market is going to change the way things are done in the future. So really, really pumped to see this business grow over the next few years, and definitely some exciting news to share on the podcast, hopefully another month or two.
Yeah. Maybe even a couple weeks.
Maybe
next week. Maybe we do another one this week. What do you say to that?
You're the head of growth, so I suppose that's up to you.
And we are growing, folks. So speaking of growth, reach out to us. If you are a REIT, a property owner, a quick serve restaurant, ultimately any restaurant. If you are a grocer, if you're a retailer, who am I missing out on? Who else should reach out?
Retail REITs.
Yeah,
big
retail
shopping
REITs.
center.
Yeah, if you're a shopping center. We will be at ICSC here in a couple weeks.
Yep.
We just wrapped up Shop Talk. We've had a fantastic year so far.
Yep.
I'm excited to see what's to come. I think before we wrap up, and this is, I think, a great intro just to help folks understand who want to follow along this journey, what it is that we are and what we're doing. Is it true that a group of German auto executives one time asked you, when explaining what we're doing here, and I'll probably paraphrase, but something along the lines of like, what gives you the right? What gives you the right to build this? Is that true?
That is true. There were 40 executives from Germany in a room in Silicon Valley, and I was asked to give them a presentation about what we were up to last summer. And that was one of the stern comments I received from one of the attendees, and I remember thinking,
what does give you the right?
Exactly. I remember thinking, wow, I've never been asked this question, nor have I ever thought about that when building this business, because it's a type of question that you would only ask yourself if you believe that the world is constrained by how it is. And I think most great entrepreneurs in history would not ask themselves that question, because if you were to start with that type of mentality, you probably would create something iterative. You would certainly work within the bounds of what's currently acceptable, and you would not be pushing any industry forward with that type of mentality or mindset from the early days of building a business. And so, while that's probably a fair question to ask, and if I were to answer that truthfully, I did, which is to say, nobody gave me the right to do this. I suppose I gave myself the right to do this. And just because I don't have automotive credentials or autonomous self-driving credentials, does that mean that I'm not allowed to work on this idea? Well, maybe in some countries, but not here. And I think that's what's great about entrepreneurship in the United States in particular, is that having ambition to change something for the better, or having a vision or a drive to create something new, isn't frowned upon, isn't looked down upon, isn't judged based on what school you went to, what company you worked for, what degree you have, how many years experience you may or may not have. It's simply looked at as, if you have a vision that excites you and gets you up in the morning, and you can kind of lead a team of people in a common direction to build something intriguing, there's a very healthy capital ecosystem in this country that will back you, especially if you've got some prior entrepreneurship scars like I have in my previous venture-backed startup. So yeah, it was that is absolutely a true story, and I'm sure it's not the end of that question, but the good news is you don't need to have any credentials to do anything in life. If you really want to, go for it. And I think Autolane's living proof of the fact that that's possible, because none of us here have an automotive background or a self-driving car background. But what we do have is massive ambition, and I would say expertise in a variety of fields that end up being essential for this to work. Our head of marketing has a background in D2C experiential marketing from some of the top, brands who have done major pop-ups and kind of have pop culture, ridden major pop culture trends over the years. And so she kind of knows how to tap into amazing consumer experiences. You of course have worked in tons of different enterprise sales organizations, doing a fantastic job leading big teams, producing incredible results. And if you can just get people, a small group of people who have the requisite skills to do something, then, the direction that we all choose to go in, we can always learn, those nuances to ADAS systems and, automotive OEM partnerships like that. That's
rolling Pudo zones.
Yeah, that's stuff you can pick up, especially today with AI being as prevalent as it is. You can learn something as fast as you want, and you can get kind of super intelligence at the click of a button. And what's more important is having, I think, the leadership, the chemistry, the vision, and the bias to action to go ahead and change an industry. It doesn't have to do with what you know or who lets you do something or not. It's how much do you want it, and ultimately, how much does the market want it? So that's what we're seeing today, is the market wants this, and we're going to keep sprinting ahead.
Amazing. Ben, he gives himself the right. Seidl, live from the Autolane podcast studio. Folks, thanks for joining us.
Wait, Kim, I have a question.
Producer Kyle, hello.
Producer Kyle here. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
If I am one of those companies that you talked about, and I'm not as big as Simon Properties. I'm not in the billions. Can I still reach out to Autolane? Is that something I can do?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say it doesn't matter the size of your company necessarily, but the companies or properties who have lots of vehicle traffic or lots of retail delivery traffic, those are great fits for us because those are places that are going to be heavily impacted by autonomy and the chaos that ensues when autonomy hits your property. So regardless of the market cap or enterprise value or number of stores you have, that's not necessarily the deciding factor on whether or not Autolane can help you. It's really, do you have a parking lot or a retail operation that is already congested today and is in a city that is experiencing growth in self-driving cars? What are those cities? It's Miami, Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio now, Nashville, Phoenix, Orlando, Los Angeles, San Francisco. It's almost too long of a list to name. It used to be a short list this time last year, and now it's
long list.
It's most of the major cities in the south of the 37th parallel. Can I just say that?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say it's more to do with the fact that you've got a business or a property that is congested today with regular traffic, and then you can layer on and predict for yourself that once autonomous vehicles start scaling and coming more to your property, then you're going to have a need for Autolane. So absolutely, anybody who's got that problem or that desire should be happy to reach out, and we would love to show you what we do.
Kim, is there somewhere that I can find out where AVs might be if my business is located in that area?
Coverage.goautolane.com. Hit the map, type in your address, type in your business name. You'll understand whether or not you exist in one of the polygons where AV traffic is currently existing, or if you're right outside of it, which is generally an indication expansion is coming your way. Cool. Well, if
I want to be on the podcast, I mean, I'm going to be here popping in and out whenever I feel fit, whenever I see fit. But if I want to be on the podcast and I'm just excited about these topics like you guys are, how can I get a hold of you to join this pod?
Cam at goautolane.com. Yeah, you can reach out to any of us on LinkedIn. That's an easy place. Our emails are ben@goautolane.com. That's mine. Cam at goautolane.com. That's Cam's. And then yours, Kyle at goautolane.com.
It's true.
Any one of us three, reach out to us either via email or, like I said, LinkedIn. And we'd love to have anyone on here who's enthusiastic about the future of autonomous commerce and how autonomy will be changing, whether it's real estate, grocery, QSR, retail. If you're kind of an industry leader or working or professional in that field and you've got some hot takes on where this is all going, we'd love to have you and have a nice discussion here on the pod.
Amazing. From south of the 37th parallel, that is the end of episode 1. That's the pod. You guys have a fantastic rest of your week. See you soon.
Thanks, y'all.